Okay, again, guys, welcome to the call this morning. Thank you so much for making the time to be with us here today to get you on the line with Robert Christensen. But on the GoToWebinar panel, a couple things to show you. There's a feature where you can write about who he is and how he's built his business. We want to open it up for questions. So feel free to raise your hand on the GoToMute you, and you can ask your question live. We'd love to do it this way because having that interaction where you can ask the question live is a great way to do it. If you have the question that somebody else on the call has a question, probably the same question or similar. So it's really, really helpful as you also type in on the question box right below there. There's the question box, and if you will, some of you, it'd be really cool that for anything that you want to do, you type in there so I know that we're coming out to you loud and clear. If you want to as well, you can type in, you can see my screen. That's also. Come back. Thanks. I'm glad that you're there. So, yeah, thank you so much, guys. Devin, all right, perfect. So it looks like we're coming out to you loud and clear. So Tim Valencia is here with me as well. He's looking at the question boxes as well. So please don't be shy. Our goal today is to get you introduced to a question that you have. Take the opportunity. Sometimes it can be tough getting a hold of our franchise partners. They're so busy. So I think this should be a great. I know that for a lot of you, this might be the first time that you're talking to us, and so before I bring Robert on, what Amada Senior Care is, just take just a few seconds. So Amada Senior Care, we send caregivers to seniors' homes. So we take care of bathing, grooming, any of these things that you need on a daily basis to be able to continue to thrive in your home. We help them find an assisted living, a boarding care, an Alzheimer's care unit, any of these communities or homes that are right. If it's too expensive to do home care or socialization, you know, you talk about even if you have a caregiver in the home for 5 hours, the senior might be home all by themselves. So for some seniors, being in an assisted living or a boarding care or independent living is really the best thing for them. Community. So it's a free service for the family. And these are the two businesses that we specialize in. In fact, we started the business in here, and they went from 0 clients all the way to caring for about 200 people at all times, and that business generating just here in Orange County. And this is the same model, the same business that we started franchising in Orange County. And as we got to these revenues, we thought, man, this is an amazing business. We can help so many entrepreneurs and get so many people. And Robert, hang on here. Hey Tim, if you could send Robert another invite. He's having trouble logging in. Revenues here for the home store, and in fact, Robert was actually our very first franchisee. That's what's cool about this for Amada, and we're so thankful. I'll tell you more about that. And as you can see, our franchise partners have enjoyed great success. That by the third year of business, full third year of business, our franchisees are averaging $2.5 million in gross revenues. And a lot more than that, some folks less. But as you talk to our franchise partners like Robert, you'll be able to get a better idea of what the business has been like. It's our differentiation strategy. And this is something that, for me, by the way, was very confusing when we first started franchising. I was trying to understand this of care. Sometimes it's tough here to really understand what it is that we specialize in. But the big message is, and we'll get into some of that today as Robert talks about our differentiation and how he's been able to grow his business and infiltrate all of a lot more depth. So that's it. And by the way, we'll talk a lot about the business. Tim is going to walk you through every aspect of the business. We're going to do an in-depth dive into a territory with you. Many of you on the call have already gone through that call payment and eventually get you here to Discovery Day. But let me now switch over to Robert. Like I said, Robert was our very first 2012. It was March of 2012, and it was actually Robert that started looking into the home care industry. You just look over some of these companies with me, and if it wasn't for Rob, I don't even know if Amada Senior Care as a franchise would exist to getting the business started. Also, his success, his determination set the stage and set the standard for our franchise work here in Orange County, but it could also work in a completely different environment like Tacoma, Washington, where Robert started his business. That's the Colorado airport. We were just about to go to a conference together to talk to some prospective franchisees. Amazing advocate of our brand, many times without expecting anything in return. Franchise partners have relied on a lot of his expertise. To give you an idea, right after this call, Robert is jumping on another call with the idea of hiring caregivers that he has created in Washington, and he is sharing that with our entire system. It's so grateful to be part of this company, part of this business, that we have franchise partners like Robert. It's just amazing to have.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're loud and clear. Looks like we've got you. So from Amada, but can you talk a little bit about finding our company and what that was like? All the folks on the phone, for me or not. So can you walk us through those beginning stages?
Sure. Marcos, very kind on your compliments. Chad Fotheringham and I, we were on the same sales team at Pfizer in the year 2000. But during that time period of when he was let go and when I was let go, I was ready for change. I was so tired of corporate America. Who's hiring? And I was in the other mindset. I was like, man, I can't wait to get my severance package, so that I can to do something a little bit different. During that time period, I started a construction company, 2000 period, and I was fortunate to have gotten out without going bankrupt. Lost a lot of money in that business, but create a brand, what it takes to develop a business plan and a face in a market. So at that point, in 2011, when I was and I also knew the enormity of creating a brand, creating marketing materials, doing that stuff, and so I reached out to these are some things. What do you know about home care? I think you'd be great at home care. And I said, hey, I got a buddy of mine, Chad Fotheringham, who does that. And so what I reached here for home care, can you help me out with this? Be on mute in the background, kind of listen to what everybody's saying, give me some guidance. Like Comfort Keepers. I did about 5 or 6 of these, and I went through the whole entire process, kind of up until I learned about this is every one of them basically was saying pretty much the same thing. The interesting thing that I found was the people that were the same background that I had, in medical device and medical sales. And so it gave me comfort knowing that, hey, there's some transferable skills that are here. I went down, talked to Chad, I met Tafa. I looked at, they weren't franchising by any means, but, I looked at their infrastructure. They could show me financial statements. They could show me some things, and so we were I was either going to be just a business partner with them up here or 11, so for about 4 or 5 months, I did all the legwork up here until they were ready to go. Stuck out to me as one, I was able to look at their financials. I was able to look at what they did, and it gave comfort to me. So I know that all of you guys, what type of ROI? I'm making a big life change here. What type of money am I able to make? And I'll touch on that. But when I was able to do something that was not just make money, I made good money at Pfizer. I had a great quality of life at Pfizer. For me at that point, it wasn't just the money. It was about doing something a lot more intrinsically rewarding. And this line, every day we are touching the lives of our clients. So there's a lot of intrinsic reward that we get from this. But the other thing, other than the fact that they were doing well, was I knew the character of Chad Fotheringham. I knew and same character. There's this commonality, and so I really liked being part of an organization that was in 100th franchise. I wanted to be part of something that was in the early stage. We've had a lot of growth over 5 years. For us franchisees to really bring to the table, insights. One thing when I was at Pfizer, their way they did business, and you did business the way they did it. And what's nice about these years with Amada, the leadership at Amada, are open to listening to those and rolling them out system-wide, or you have the inside of your own business model. So that's the leadership is one of the big things that the reason why I went with them. They initially had a lot of success with long-term care insurance. There's expertise in long-term care insurance, and when I started my business, actual billed revenues, and this year between all my offices we'll do close to $7 million, Washington as well. So
that's right. Yeah, that's right. I forgot to put that in.
No worries. So
Well, let me ask you this, and in fact, I think I have a slide here. I wanted to talk about your startup quote in our franchise disclosure document between, here it is right here, between that 80,000 and 174, and then you have what capital it took for you to get started, not just in your first 3 to 6 months, but as the years went by.
After all my taxes and everything like that, I had about $100,000 of in the bank account, cash money. I had about 401k because I took a lot of money out of my 401k for my construction company. So I was sitting at about $215,000 out of my house. I mean, literally, I have a $215,000 of capital to work with here. Married, 4 kids, wife 8, and a 7-year-old. So
this wasn't something that if it didn't work, it was okay, right? It wasn't this.
Business before, you know what I mean? So it's like, failure is part of life. You learn from it. I learned a lot from it. But I had $100,000 because I had already paid in my payroll taxes and all that stuff out as my severance. So I took that in the business, and I personally lived on the $100,000 for about 18 months until that ran out. But from that, we paid the franchise fee. That's where I started then paying, marketing, the technology, paying my caregiver. From a standpoint of the amount of money that was, if you want to pay yourself or whatever your living expense was, and my net at that time was maybe in yourself. You're just talking about money to get the business off the ground. I started with about $115,000, right in the middle of that. Going is payroll. When your business grows, as long as your payroll is growing, you want that payroll to grow, because as your payroll is growing, that means your billing hours, your revenues. Where are your revenues coming from? Like I built my business predominantly off long-term care insurance. For the first few rounds, for about 45, maybe 60 days before the paychecks start coming from insurance. A lot more cash up front to cover that payroll, as it grows. Once the insurance companies start paying, but if you pick up, if I pick up 10 cases where I'm billing $15,000 a pop on each one of them, $150,000 a month. So it depends on where your business comes from. If you grow it from long-term care insurance, you're going to need more capital up front to cover. Another way that I've seen, the other way that I've seen some of the franchisees blow up their business and do really great revenue, right, is through partnering with and getting VA contracts. So I've seen some of them generating $1 to $1.5 million in annual revenues just from those VA contracts. The VA, but the thing about the VA, these contracts, you're getting paid. It's good money. You're getting paid. It just takes a while. I in the last 3 months, my business has radically changed. I was about 90% long-term. Then I went to about 80%, 75-80% long-term care insurance. The rest of it's cash. And recently secured a Medicaid contract, which is every state's different on that. But with Medicaid, I get paid and bill out every Monday. I just billed out $10,000 for care for the prior week, and Friday there'll be $10,000 in my capital you have. It all depends that you need to have. It depends on where your business comes from. Will determine how much. It took them a while to really get the courage to get up there and go out and find their voice in their market space. He called me at 1 year and he said, "Rob, I'm really struggling. I'm having some issues. I can't." And I asked him what he'd been doing, and he spent a lot of time in and it didn't take off. He was billing out about $4,000 or $5,000 a month after a year. And I said, business or get in the business. We had a lot of good talks. I kind of helped him out with some coaching. A year later, he's now. So
yeah, in fact, he's joining us he'll be joining us in Nicaragua for our awards trip. There's countless people that you've had conversations with and have helped them. A lot of times, coming from them. And
the thing is having owned, like I own now 6 or 7 different office locations. My newest one in Tri-Cities it's a little bit slow. I mean, we're finding it's taking a little bit longer to find our voice. Now, here's the people working that office and business partners working that office with me. When I started Tacoma, I had 4 kids to feed, and motivation. When you are the one, I mean, things are a little bit different. So just because I did what I did, it's pretty impressive on how many people are going to Nicaragua this year, which is our top performers trip. What I found, people find you. You know what I mean? As long as you're out there, marketing and doing things, all of a sudden your referral sources start coming in.
By the way, when you talk about when you stay in your office, can you kind of talk? We get a lot of questions about a day in or 2 or 3, right? Your business, when you're doing $0 to when you're doing $1 million to now you talked about $7 million. What do you mean by, well, if you stay in your office, nothing's going to happen? What should you be doing in that day to day?
To know caregivers, and you're trying to convince caregivers you have work, and you're trying to convince referral sources you have caregivers, right? I mean, you're holding an empty. It's easy to sit in your office and hire all these caregivers and go, I got to hire caregivers, I got to learn the software, I got to learn the manual, I got to learn this, So the problem with that is you can learn everything, but eventually, you got to get out and you got to get clients, and so the moment working in your office, full time in your office, answering your phones, booking your appointments, scheduling stuff. So having some marketplace in the field, meeting the referral sources, casting a wide net, meeting lots of people every day, half a day in the office, twice a week. I would come in on Tuesdays in the afternoons to interview caregivers, Thursdays in the afternoon to hire in the office, let her, even though that there's not much at the very beginning for her, but my gal was in the office. But so you got to be marketing. You got to be selling your services. You got to be connecting with people. That's the main. And
Rob, I remember for a start, they'll say things like, "Yeah, but Robert exploded because he hit that vein of long-term care insurance." Well, you never would have hit that vein. You never would have found that had you not been out marketing. I mean, it was 2 or 3 months of just Monday through Friday visiting account after account after account, and then that.
I mean, luck is to get lucky. You got to freaking be putting in you got to be in enough places to get lucky and strike gold. But yeah, I mean, I was but I think what often happens is, and this is any place, you start getting referrals from places. Once you hit oil, start drilling for oil. You know what I mean? Work that thing. And so a lot of times that one referral source could give you 100 referrals, and so what ended up happening is I worked all those other long-term care insurance stuff. They kept me going where I didn't make sales calls for 2 years in hospitals and nursing homes because all care insurance agents and brokers. Now that's dangerous because now if anything goes wrong, things change out. There's no more oil, right? And so. And I kind of found that, as I was, had a good business, but I'd already gotten almost all the referrals. So, I started making changes, and that's why I started looking at what other franchisees had done and with VA contracts. So it took me a while. The state of Washington, Oregon does real well. There's about 7 or 8 other states that does real well too. But it took me a year to get those contracts a day. And I have a waiting list right now of 30 clients that are waiting for me to assign a caregiver to them. They go to, and they're really not salespeople. They're because of the volume of stuff that are coming in. They were making salespeople, but now they're going out and just signing up cases. And I spend 100% of my time now painstakingly, I gained 30 pounds in the office, better at operating and getting resources in my people's hands so we can do things smoother and more efficient.
Folks on the phone that come from medical device and pharmaceuticals, but we also have folks that maybe don't have that rich. Not only did you start the business, but you also have talked to probably every single one of our 7 should absolutely get into this. And by the way, what kind of person should stay away? Is there such a thing, or is it the kind of thing where anybody? Pharmaceutical or medical device or experience. You have all the skill set. I mean, there's what we do in this industry, that kind of stuff. That is definitely an asset from a standpoint of understanding healthcare. It has absolutely
zero. And so I hired some of my friends that were ex-pharmaceutical guys. You know, when I opened it, I'm the #1 guy. I won all these awards trips, and to be honest with you, it's a pretty easy job. You know, money comes in. Doctors are going to write. There's some people that have bought. You know, they come in and they just think that that it's going to be like pharma sales. It's just going to fall in their lap, and it's not that at all. Had in that experience as a sales rep, with that knowledge, you know, and basically now really you're not calling on doctors most part. You're calling on lower end in the healthcare field, and you know, can you connect with those people? I mean, that's what really this business is about. They are basically coming into people's lives in a time when they are in crisis. When my mom, and I can tell you, my family has a healthcare background, but when you're going through crisis, when you're seeing a loved one in that stage, I mean, you're in like direction. I need help. And so if you can sit down with people and you can see what I can do to help you out, and make that genuine connection with your referral source and with your client, that's the determination to get up every day, decide to go meet people you don't know, and we're not the healthcare professionals. We're helping people that need to get to their doctor's appointments. We're getting people that need to get out of bed that, you know, we take for granted, you know. And so, I mean, the biggest skill set is connecting, being genuine, work. So I've seen like Ken Jensen, our #2 guy. The guy doesn't, you know, he blew up his business. You know, what can I do for you? You know, and the guy has the biggest heart in the world.
He does.
You know? And so, I mean, it's nice having, I think my background in healthcare really opens up a lot of, you know, ability to me to connect with. And healthcare is changing right now, you know what I mean? And so because of the franchisees and the system that are in that have that background, you know, we, like I've been in the process of developing some discharge planning software that we're going to be rolling out. We're meeting with hospitals, you know, hospitals discharging people out of the community. And it's because we're a young enough company that we're able that we can, you know, utilize people that have a good skill set like that and roll it out throughout
the way, folks. What I'd like you to do is, this is a great time to raise your hand or to type in your questions right there in the question box. Tip your hand. It's great to have Robert on. So let's open it up for your questions at this point. Rob, kitchen side. So we talked about all of the things you need to be good at about connecting with folks, but I know that there's a lot of folks on the call and background, but operations is not their strong suit. The detail of it, spreadsheets, bookkeeping, earlier. So how do you do that? What do you recommend? What are the skills needed on the operations side?
He'll tell you one thing. Talk to me. You'll probably hear a different thing on here. So if you're a freaking good connector and salesperson, you know, and the money is coming in, and that's all you want to do, then obviously now you have the resources to hire the people to do the. Or if you're sitting on a fairly good size investment, you know, $400,000 by hiring people to do those jobs, then you can do that. However, I think it's important to how does our software work? You know, not necessarily how does QuickBooks work, but, you know, kind of generally how does it work? ICE does that stuff, but I do know how to read a financial statement. I mean, I'm not a CPA by any means, so you're going to want to learn as you don't worry about all that stuff.
Right.
You know, when business comes, those skill sets will present themselves, and it is pretty core. I always get back to, we hire caregivers. Caregivers provide care. We bill the client for that care. The money you get, the more complicated it gets because there's lots more expenses that come in. But you learn it as you go. And now I spend all my time in operations, and I'm getting better and better at it. Now my desk is a mess. I'm terrible at organization and what.
Yeah, I think that's very important. How soon, because you were a one-man band a few weeks ago, so Kevin and Greg, they came on and talked to everybody. Robert, it's so cool to see the success that they've had. They were two guys, they're two buddies. They've been able to stay off hiring somebody that quickly. but it was just Rob. So how soon did you hire?
In my office doing things. Now, I'll be honest with you, I had the wrong person for too long. I brought in a solid person, and she cost me $50,000 a year when I brought her on. She's a former LPN in Texas. She basically. Let me go back to this. There's a principle that you and one person in your office go out and pick up 15 clients. Okay, get to 15 clients. You get to this. You're not putting money in your pocket yet, but at this point, you're now out of the red. You're now in the 5 of them die, and you're now back in the red. Okay, so
right.
15 clients. You're probably going to bill double that. Get to 30. You and one other person get to 30 clients. At 15 of those clients represents about $1,000 a month in personal income to you if you're doing your margins right, controlling your expenses. About $150,000 a year in profit to you. And the reality is most of your competition that are out here, they have a base of about 30 clients. Part-time person in the office, and they've replaced their corporate American job. They are self-employed. They don't have a boss breathing down their neck. $3.5 million in annual revenues, and that's where most of your competition caps. That's where they for a lot of people. Now the 30, when I say so, get to 15, double it to 30. Hire people and double it to 60. Okay, that's the double at 60. Themselves when you're about 30 plus clients. Because you're not adding more revenue. I mean, more 30 new clients go from 30 to 60. Your take home should be $25,000, $30,000 on your investment if you think about it. But here's the thing: the skill set to get to go from 30 to 60, 100, maybe 120 employees. That is a whole different skill set and management. That's when we talk about all these other things. I got to make sure that HR policies are being followed. I got to make sure that we're recruiting. I got to make sure that we're, as far as your staff and your skill sets and whatnot, but kind of that double. That's what I always tell people: 30 clients, get 60 clients.
That's great. That's really good advice. I like that a lot. Robert Agronov is asking about this, because I don't know if I got the second part. Raise your hand, I'll unmute you. But he's asking, isn't LTC becoming less prevalent because it's gotten...
I would imagine we probably have a few years left before long-term care insurance sales goes away. And you know why it's going? Okay, the claims are rolling in. They've had 2 decades of collecting premium. I believe they paid out just over like $10.8 billion in claims. The prior year it was like 7.3
of folks that pay out on long-term care insurance.
That's right. So
just
what's
in the United States?
Yes, this is only in the United States. Difficult for new people. These people that buy insurance today, they're probably not going to file a claim for 10 years, 15 years, maybe 20 back when. Those are the ones, and all these insurance companies have to have a massive reserve. Treaty is a company that they got out of the business altogether. They're not selling long-term care insurance anymore. All the money is available. Every dollar that's out there. If that company has $200 million, it have to be paid out. Guess what? At that point, they turn it all over. It's available. Hold on a second. Oh, sweet boy. Yeah, it's available to pay claims. So yes, it's the amount of going up.
That's great. The other question that he had is the VA contract. There's getting a contract without giving too much of the secret sauce, I guess, because Robert, some of this is kind of our proprietary how we do it, but VA and how hard was that process for you?
Well, every state is different. Every VA. So
right.
I work with 1, 2, 3, 4 VAs, and the Seattle VA, they were content. Anybody else on? It wasn't until I'd been in the market a long time. and I had a lot of clients that were veterans that were saying, you need to freaking, hey man, in Virginia, the guy had a VA contract inside of 3 months. The guys in Michigan had a contract on how it's ran. Like, I have to file paper claims for my VA, so I have to fill out and mail it in. I'm the only one that has to do that. All the others are using a third-party vendor and filing it electronically. So market to market, even the rates are different. I get paid about $28 an hour for care from the VA. So every market's a little bit different.
Okay, perfect. And then Carl actually had a car business. Have you been able to make mobile? And he's saying, based on your large amount of time in the field, I'm not sure what he means by that. Perhaps you can talk about.
I think it versus how much is you have to be in the office, in the doctor's office. They give you the referral.
Talk a little bit about you talked about how a lot of your business comes from referral sources. What about online business, right? Business, pay-per-click and social media and all that? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but can you talk about the mix and maybe where you see that going?
There's some of the other Amada franchisees. I mean, that's just not my skill set. It's like, I don't like spending money on the internet. I would rather spend my marketing dollars in my local market with people that I have physical connection there for sure. I'm not a big. I picked up cases from. They get a referral for me for care for my agency. They go online. They look at the credentials. They look at what's. A lot of times they're pointed towards me from a person that goes in there. Rarely does it come from online. Now, with that being said, there's with a big change that may add a little bit more to that. But right now, a lot of my referrals come like the discharge orders with we've got somebody for you. Do you have a caregiver available? It's 300 hours a month. Got somebody with a policy that has $250,000 a year in benefits. It's a monthly benefit. It's home care only. Do you service this area? People that's how they come in now.
Another great question. Thanks for that. Another question from Steve is he's saying age of, is this the right thing for me? What would you say is the most important thing or the 1, 2, 3 things that everyone must do in order to figure out if this is the right business for them? What do you think for everybody who's looking at this business?
Well, this is a people business, first of all, and so you got to look at interacting with people. So that's a big thing. Are you afraid to meet people? Are you afraid of buying a franchise that has systems and has the leadership in there? I'd encourage everybody to get to Discovery, meet Jared, meet Jeff Putnam, meet the leadership of these guys, meet their sales team. These the type of people that you want to be in business with. So one is, do you want to be in the people business? Do you want to be in the home care business? Do that. But if at that point, if you're looking at whatever organization, do you connect with me? And that was the big reason why I went with Amada. It took a risk being the first franchisee because presentation you could ever want.
Yeah.
But it was just, I knew the type of people that and the franchisees that are in the system. It's definitely we're all that goes on. But my biggest thing is get the Discovery Day, see if you connect with them, and that's the biggest thing. If you don't connect with them.
Yeah, I'm glad actually. It's interesting you should mention that because we've never awarded of our 70+ franchise partners, we've never, and Robert was the first informal Discovery Day, and it's changed a lot. Just present to you. Like, our goal is to really get to know you. So we have breakfast, lunch, and dinner together. It's a long date. But the goal is your questions and us collaborating together on what the business is all about. So it's actually very to come out really knowing truly who we are, not just a veneer of who we are. So thanks for mentioning that. Well, we're coming to an hour here on the call. I've got a couple more questions, so do me a favor, and I know that Robert has a really busy day in front of him. He's a revamped caregiver hiring platform, and I thought, Rob, that market, which I think is a very important thing for these folks that are looking at the business to know, the shortage about that.
Sure. The reality is there are more clients than the aging population is huge, and depending on what state you're in, some states, Washington requires you to have licensure, and so there was already, which created an even bigger shortage. So one thing that we did early on is we've partnered with, and we have needed requirements to provide care. So we've kind of created some solutions that make us a little bit different from just your average home use available. When you first get going, it's about you don't have enough clients. But no longer worried about clients. You regularly don't have enough caregivers, which is a pretty cool place to be in business, where being able to service the existing business. So right. So corporate culture that employees, because they have choices, caregivers have choices where they want to go to, create an organization. Right. People want to be.
I hear a lot of times that caregivers nationwide get paid $9 to $14 an hour, right? I mean, that is the very top. The culture. Do you find that is it pay? Is it culture? Is it how they're treated? What is it that you have found?
One is you got to treat people with the respect at all. You got to treat people right. You got to make them feel like they're giving them hours, they're going somewhere else. And so one is you got to treat people with respect. You got to business going. And then as long as you're doing that and you're giving hours, they would rather maybe get paid 40 hours a week, versus working for 4 different companies that are paying them a little bit more, but the moment they lose a client, to pay their bills. So, I mean, you want to be competitive in your pricing. The cost of care. I like to be a little bit more than your competition.
Right.
And then just treat people right.
How many caregivers in your database now that you feel that you can contact? So how big is your caregiver pool?
I right now have 4,000 in my database, and I have a list of their emails and their phone numbers, but I'll crack it. But I have about 4,000, and I add a recruiting platform I'm adding about 500 per location. When I say 4,000, I'm sorry, that's just my Tacoma. I'd say if you add them up, and I'm adding about 2,000 a month to that.
That's awesome. And by the way, and that's what we're developing, because what's cool is, Robert is our oldest franchisee. He's also our top grossing franchisee. And Robert, you can opine on this, but when we first started,
Fred's a little bit older than me, dude.
Who is older? Fred? Our oldest. Well, that is true. Fred, and I think you are the oldest in the system, but you are getting kind of old.
I'm definitely not the most mature.
To see Mr. Trump get inaugurated, what was that like?
That's pretty cool.
He was there in the.
That's right.
Okay. What I want to tell you guys is, I think that was, and by the way, we even thought we were pretty darn cool. Like, I remember Rob sometimes would call that idea, and they would go out and do it anyway, and it would work for them. So what I really love about this, and I hope you're getting from this call, it's rooted in what we started here in Orange County, but by far, guys, it is this network of franchise partners that we have. Come here to Orange County, and we spend 3 full days together. We have a trip to Nicaragua where our top performing franchisees are all going to. It's hard to express this until you actually are part of it, but the value really today is in all of these experiences that are happening caregivers. When we hear Jay Mann, who got a contract with the VA in his first 3 months of business, all of caliber like Robert, all of our franchisees are folks who accomplished a lot in previous lives. They were executives. They were people that loved their families and loved this country. It was just I'm so honored. It's so amazing to have this group of people. And I don't know, Rob, really, can you express in what you see of our system, our franchisees out there?
I mean, we're a network of people that left corporate America, that were tired of that came into this, that were financially set. You know what I mean? They didn't have the destitute, the need to succeed like I did. And also, it's kind of cool that Chad and Tafa, they're still involved in a lot of the operation stuff, and they're feeling this up front as well. It's like, we are not Home Instead. When I say we, Amada, because by the way, I get no commissions whether or not you buy an Amada. We'll bring you in, you turn on the television instead ads, and I'm kicking all their asses. You know what I mean? It's from a standpoint of, there are some franchises. Those are billion-dollar franchise organizations. They are collecting royalties and out there, part of a mega juggernaut that has that type of, if that's important to you, that's probably a better way to go. Some are people that want to work and build a local brand, because I can tell you, people don't choose a home care company because of an ad that the differentiator, the nurse or the social worker is going to call somebody because they met you and they trust you. That's where you're going to get the referrals from.
The end of the call here, but Greg raised his hand, and I feel like we got extended. Rob, do you have a few more minutes?
Sure.
All right, unmute your microphone there on your end. Looks like you're still muted on your computer. If you can, I'd love to get you live here. Chime in. I've got you unmuted on my. Let me make sure I do have you unmuted. Yeah, I have you unmuted on my end. Devin, you have a question about how many franchisees currently imported, and that represents, I think it's about 65 franchisees, because many of our franchisees, like Robert, so it's about, again, 65 franchisees, 86 locations in the United States. We believe the U.S. is about going to be like other franchise organizations where there's 1,000 Amadas out there. We're looking for the small group of, we'll probably only have, 120 or 50 franchisees. We really want to keep it this all the time, that our goal is to have 200 locations that do $5 million in gross revenues. That's one of our big in gross revenues a year. And if you think about that, that's $1 billion company. So, Robert, thank you so much.
You bet.
All right, and
for you guys,
hey, thanks, Rob.
For sticking with your current, job or whatnot. Wish you the best of luck in 2017 and throughout your life. But you come on board with them. I'd love to see a part of the team if you're looking to get in the industry.
Rob, thank you so much. And guys, as Rob said, one of the major things about the dates that we have available for Discovery Day, there are some things you need to do before you can come out, but Tim Valencia will be able to walk you through all of those. To our latest franchise partner, they all came out to Discovery Day and spent time here with us. It's so important that you schedule amazing things to get out here because of kids and work and all that. We'll work with you on available times coming up here. And are these the type of people I want to work with? Is this the type of business I really want to be into? So please work with Tim. We have it as Monday the 6th. So February 2nd and February 6th are the days that are available for our next Discovery Days. It's time to be able to come out, get out here to meet with us. I want to thank you guys for joining me today. Thank you so much. Actually, there are more questions on as you go through the discovery process. The main thing you need to do is just connect with Tim. Go to Tim. Work with him. He is our VP of Franchise Development. We walk through every single one of our franchise partners through that exact same process. So you're in very good hands. Again, guys, thank you so much for joining me. It's week. Thank you again. And here's to your success. We'll talk to everybody soon. Bye-bye.